Welcome to the Shock Your Potential podcast with your host, Michael Sherlock. We all have potential, but sometimes we need inspiration to get us to our peak performance. Whether you are starting out in your career, ready to move up the corporate ladder, or taking the leap into entrepreneurship, Michael's guests provide powerful tools and resources to shock your potential. Shock Your Potential is a global professional development training company committed to your unique journey. Learn more about us today at shockyourpotential.com. Listen in to today's expert.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Shock Your Potential. I am obviously your host, Michael Sherlock. That has not changed at all. And you know that this month we are starting to look at not only a new year, but to look at life with a flexible focus. And that means that we have to be willing, ready, and able to pivot when we need to about all kinds of things. And my guest today is going to talk about how you can do that, especially with your health and how that can impact your life. So my guest today is Tim James, AKA the Health Hero. And a couple of fun things from his bio that I love to hit on is that apparently, after talking to him, we are not only going to feel more young and energetic, but we are going to be motivated to do something to keep ourselves feeling younger and more energetic. And God knows we could all use that. And remember how we always start off the new year with all these plans to be healthy and fit? I have a feeling he's going to really kick us in the pants to make sure that that doesn't die out by the last day of this month. Now, a little bit of his background. By the way, he's 47 or almost, and he feels like he's 18 and even with more energy because God, I could use that. And his secret comes from a little bit of his background first, that he did have a lot of health issues in his past, and he knew something had to change. He also watched people that he loved and cared about deal with very significant health issues. And in some cases, some really not good outcomes with that. But his journey has taken him on a path which now is his mission in life. And for those of you who are first listening to the podcast and are not yet watching it on video, I just want to tell you that his shirt says, "I love when you poop." And that to me just starts my whole day out smiling. So first of all, thank you, Tim, so much for joining us today.
Michael, thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to share and help people.
I bet you if you wear that shirt out in public, people definitely stop and want to talk to you.
Yeah, they do. And when we do shows and stuff from time to time here locally, and we get lots of requests for this shirt. So we're actually building out a swag store right now because people want to have the "Love When You Poop" shirt. And just to say the backstory is because I used to hate when I had to go poop. I hated it because it was very painful for me, and I was bleeding rectally for 2.5 years. So now that's why I have this shirt, "Love When You Poop," and then I found out there was a lot of people like me with gas and bloating and fatigue and even blood in the stools. We get a lot of clients coming in because they had blood in the stool as well. So.
Oh, and and it's one of those things that, not everybody will talk about, which is unfortunate. And then, of course, Dr. Oz, when he showed up on the scene, however many years ago, and then became known as the poop doctor, we started to actually have conversations about what you should know about how your body is working and how it's processing what it's got going on. So I can't wait to learn more. I hit some of the highlights from your bio. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about you, your business, and how you help people to shock their potential in a vastly different way?
Okay, cool. So my backstory, I actually grew up on a cattle and hay farm in Eastern Oregon, hunting and fishing a lot. I played baseball at a high level for 30 years, and I pretty much grew up on the standard American diet. So that worked fine when I was young, but as I went through my 20s and into my 30s, at age 37, I'd found myself 38 pounds overweight. I had eczema on both of my elbows, on my knee. I had another skin issue on my shoulder. It was like this fat bubbling up. It was really gross. I was tired, fatigued. I wasn't sleeping well. And I was eating Tums and Rolaids really bad, a lot, because I had acid reflux super bad. I was eating them like all day, like candy. Doctors wanted me to go on Prilosec. I was bleeding rectally. And eventually on a vacation up in northern Peru in Tumbes, I had to be basically driven in the middle of the night on a bumpy road for 6 hours to Piora. And now I'm in a third world country on an examination table with flies buzzing around in me in the hospital. No, I couldn't even use my insurance, but my wife's at the time's dad was a doctor, and he ran a huge clinic in Lima. So they life flighted me to Lima, and then I went right in for emergency surgery and had an organ removed. I just and then I had to be like pushed back into the United States in a wheelchair. So that was my vacation. But what I realized was, see, my poor health didn't affect just me. It affected everybody else around me. I destroyed the vacation that we planned out for a year, like a year. And there was a lot of money and time, and we were all excited about it. We were in this beautiful place, and my health ruined it. So, but I still didn't know what to do. So fast forward, what happened was I had a buddy of mine on my baseball team get cancer at age 40, Calais, and he died, left 3 little boys behind. It was terrible. My grandma died of brain cancer. My aunt died of skin cancer. But when Clay died, I was like, geez, he's my age. And then fast forward a few years later, then one of my best friends, Charles, gets diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which is this blood cancer, supposedly incurable. And he's like, hey, man, they don't have much for me, so I'm going to try to heal naturally. I'm going to go to this clinic in Florida called the Hippocrates Health Institute, and I want you to go with me. I didn't know what that was all about, but I'm like, dude, I'm in. I'm going to help you. Now, you have to understand, like, there's no way I would have went to this place knowing what they were doing if it wasn't for Charles having cancer, because on the plane flight there, he said there's no meat, there's no dairy, there's no salt, there's no sugar, there's nothing cooked over 115 degrees. It's all like juices and plants and living foods and stuff like that. And I was like, what? And I didn't even know what he was talking about. And I'm like,
and you're like, wait, why didn't you tell me this before I got on the airplane?
Because he knew I was such a big hunter. I mean, I literally thought that you had to have meat for muscles and to be a man. I mean, it's literally ingrained in me. Growing up in Eastern Oregon was like growing up in the 50s, right? So it was very repressed, like socially. Anyway, so we go there, and day one, my acid reflux is gone. I go through this, they call it like a healing crisis, or doing surgery without a knife, because they put us on fresh waters, purified waters, fresh green juices, wheatgrass shots. You know, we're doing these mineral pools back and forth, all these things, and eating raw living foods. I never, if you pick up an apple and eat it, that's a raw living food. Apple falls off the tree, it's alive. Or you pick some peas out of the garden and eat them. That's a raw living food. But the problem is what we learned is we've been detached from nature. Our soils have been farmed out. So 85% of the nutrients in the soils are gone. So if you're eating fresh organic vegetables, you're still going to be 85% deficient. You're literally walking around on 15% fuel. We are eating all this food that's cooked, processed, irradiated, bagged, canned, boxed, and it's got all these fillers and chemicals and stuff in it. And it just bioaccumulates. It gets in your gut. It slows and gums up everything. And the average person, we learned, is walking around with 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material in the colon. And the first lecture was 3.5 hours long, called Internal Awareness. And they're talking about this. And they talked about from the time you eat food until the time it exits your body, what happens. I was like, wow, how come nobody taught me this? This is amazing. And they were trying to sell us on doing a colon hydrotherapy session, or colonic, which is where you sit on a tube rectally and water goes in and out for an hour, and it cleans out that funk and gunk and junk that's accumulated. I remember elbowing Charles and going, dude, I ain't doing that. This is crazy. I'll fly thousands of miles of helping you, but I'm not doing it. But when that doctor got done talking, and in fact, he pointed at me during the lecture, and he says, Tim, you got 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. And if you ever want to have your health and be vibrant and not have to worry about disease, you got to clean it out. So I signed up on the thing. The next day I went in, they weighed me. I did the deal. They weighed me again. I dropped 10 pounds, Michael, in 1 hour of impacted fecal material. The record at that place was 27 pounds a lady had accumulated in her colon. And
oh my God.
You feel lighter and better. And this is standard. I've been doing this lifestyle and this work now for 10 years. And this is the case. Almost every single person that comes into our scope over here, they have that much stuff in there. So you got to get it out. It's very important to take the car into the shop, your body, and flush out the transmission fluid, flush out the engine, clean the digestive tract, purify the blood, the fat, and the muscle tissue, get all these toxic, no-see-em man-made chemicals and garbage out of your body. And you're going to flourish. I mean, all people have to do is type in umbilical cord and the word chemical in their browser, umbilical cord and chemical. And you'll see the studies going back to 2005 showing that every single child being born, and these young mothers, they look for 400 toxic chemicals. They find 250 of what they're looking for. And 180 of these cause cancer in humans. 212 cause developmental and brain disorders. And it's not on mainstream media. It's not out there. When I read these studies, I was like, oh my God, we're all polluted. So that's where our company, Chemical Free Body, got started, because I realized that if I could help people clean out their gut and get their blood, fat, and muscle tissue clean from these no-see-em toxic chemicals, then now they've got a chance. And usually what happens is people that have struggled for years, they've been going to doctors and they can't figure it out, or they're just not feeling good and nobody's telling them the right stuff. It's usually this sub-basement stuff that nobody's talking about. I had a lady that was a 911 operator came to a booth that we had, and she was milling around out there. Finally, I wasn't done talking. She came up and talked to me, and she says, Tim, I've had headaches for 15 years. 15 years she's been having headaches. Sometimes the migraines are really bad. She can't even go to work. And she needs to be sharp in what she's doing. She's saving lives, right?
Heck yeah.
And she's like, I've tried everything. I said, well, if you've tried everything, you'd be well. But so let's start there. So have you done any detoxing? And she's like, no. I was like, well, maybe that would be a good place to start. So reluctantly, she's like, okay. So she got the products and she went home and she started doing some of the tactics and strategies we shared. And within 3 weeks, her headaches were gone. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't make medical claims. We don't heal anybody. People have to heal themselves. You have to take a responsibility for your own life, just like I did. I didn't know any of this stuff 10 years ago in 2011 when I walked into that door. But what I walked out of there with was an education. And I went home and I did implementation and I stuck with it. And my buddy healed himself of cancer. He went from bankruptcy and cancer diagnosis to thriving business, no cancer. He's ran 6 marathons, and he got to see his son graduate high school and go to father-son weekend in college. And we're still hanging out. We're buddies. We started playing guitar together, and it's a lot of fun. And I healed myself of all my gut issues, all my skin issues. It's just better. I mean, I feel like I'm 19. I'm 47 years old, and I like to help other people feel the same way.
When you were talking, I had this memory. This was from about 20 years ago. And where I lived, we got a Walmart. And I hadn't ever been in a Walmart, so I wanted to go in and see what it was like.
Yeah.
And so I went in and I was amazed at the prices, and at that time I had a lot of people living in my house that were young and teenagers and ate a lot of food. So there were, the bulk of buying was the critical factor, and buying effectively financially was part of the factor. And so I was like so amazed by the prices of the meat, like the hamburger or the roasts or things like that. And so I remember picking up, I think it was a package of steaks or something, and thinking, oh my gosh, this costs so much less than at, the other store. And then I started to read the fine print on the steak package, which I've never thought about, reading it on the meat package. And it said, contains less than 15% of a solution. And I'm like, well, what solution?
Yeah.
What solution in there? Like, and 15%, like 15% of this meat is a solution, but it's less than 15%. And I remember that day I put all the meat back. And I probably still shopped and bought other things, but to this day, and I know you don't see it I know this happens a lot of it, preservatives, things like that. There's probably lots of reasons, but I remember at that point in time, I'm like, what are we eating?
That was very smart, and a lot of people don't know that they put nitrates and nitrites in the meat. And if they didn't do that, you'd walk into the store and about 40% of the meat would be gray in color on average, maybe 60%. So would you eat gray meat? Most people would be like, no way, but they are. They just
they just don't look it.
Color and like it. So look out, read your labels. We teach that big time over here.
Wait, what? Read labels? No. Read the number of servings on things? No, we can't do that. I love it. So when, your story it's amazing to me when people start businesses that are from, such personal stories that impact you so closely, and that had such an impact on your life that you can't help but shout it from the rooftops. When you first start talking to people, and they don't believe it's them. I loved your line about, if you tried everything, you wouldn't have headaches anymore. But when somebody comes to you and they're like, okay, maybe tell me a little bit about it. What are some of the things that keep them from saying, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to try something that might be uncomfortable, maybe not physically uncomfortable. Sounds like the whatever you call the things with the rotor-rooter of your intestines, of your colon.
Yeah.
But, how do you respond to them when they're like, okay, maybe, but I don't know that I really believe in this. What's holding them back?
Well, first off, people have to be in the right mind frame. I think the first thing that we do, like on our private coaching clients, is we get them to forgive themselves first. That's a very important component, and let them know that, maybe half of this is your fault and the other half wasn't because of all the garbage that's in the foods and all that stuff. But now that you have this awareness, now you got to make some changes. Otherwise, you're just basically kind of suicidal. I mean, and I'm saying that in a happy light, but the reality is that we teach things that are so common sense and so basic that produce the big results that they can't argue with it. So we just baby step them into success, because a lot of people think I'm gonna have to change my diet and that's gonna suck. I don't like this food, so I'm gonna eat like a rabbit. You want me to exercise? I did that like 4 years ago. I exercised for 2 hours. I killed myself. The next day I couldn't even move. I'm like, screw that. That's stupid. I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. again. So they have these big negative things going on. So we don't even have people change their diet or exercise in the beginning, even though those things are great and we do recommend them. What we focus on is you got to get your foundation in place first. So this would probably be a good time for me to share our core 4 secrets. So what we teach in core secret number 1 is that you got to start drinking half of your body weight in liquid ounces of purified water daily. And purified water is the key, because all water today is polluted. In some tap waters in the United States, 1 gallon of tap water has up to a half of a tablet of pharmaceutical drugs in it. 1,500 miles into the equator, you'll find, I'm going to recommend that you stop drinking out of plastic, and you're going to find out why right now.
I know.
You can go into these
I was waiting for that.
You can go into these lakes, and both the male and female fishies, the 2 to 2.5 inch fish, have both male and female organs now. Why? Because of the estrogen mimickers from crude oil. And where does crude oil show up in? Plastic bottles. So what you're drinking out right now, Michael, is that plastic bottle is putting these microscopic no-see-um toxic xenotoxins like BPS and BPA into your body that can contribute to breast cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cyst, uterine cyst, man boobs for the guys listening. And when I heard that, I'm like, I'm done. Okay, I don't want man boobs. All right. So I stopped.
I'll take all the rest of it, but no man boobs.
Don't want that. So I quit. Soy also has estrogen mimickers like this. So we learned that, and again, umbilical cord and chemical, don't take my word for it. These studies show that the scientists say that this is a body burden that's dragging down our immune system and make us more susceptible to disease and disorder and weight gain. When your body's going to store these toxic chemicals in the fat tissue as a protective mechanism, and it won't let go of them no matter how hard you work out. You have to go sub-basement and you have to detox. And the first step to detoxing is water. It's very important. Now, if you live in a city and your water is on tap water, it's pressurized, super high pressure pipes take these water molecules and they make them big, and they coagulate and stick together. It's like a bowling ball trying to go through a chain link fence. It's just going to bounce off. So that's like your intestinal tract or your lining is the chain link fence. So the water needs to be restructured. I learned this 3 years ago when I first started drinking purified and restructured water. I could drink a bunch of water and I wouldn't just pee it out all the time. It would disappear. And then 2 hours later, then I would have to pee a lot. You can increase your nutrient absorption of all your food you're eating and your supplements by up to 80% with properly restructured water. And it's an absolute game changer, because now it's like sand. It's really small, and you throw it through the chain link fence and it goes right through the intestinal lining, right into the bloodstream. And then it can get into your lymphatic system, which is your garbage removal system, gets into your colon and your brain. And one of the reasons why our colons are impacted is because we're not drinking enough water. 95% of people are not doing it. Only 5% of people are drinking enough water. And the Royal Society of Medicine says that 85% of all disease starts in the colon. So it makes sense. You're not drinking enough water. The first place the body goes to get water, the colon, it becomes dry, it gets impacted. So if you want colon cancer, don't drink water. It'll probably...
I've got the volume down on water, but now I know I need to change what I'm drinking the water from. So that at least I know I've got. So I'm part of the 5% of people that do it right.
So mason jar, use a glass mason jar. That would be best. Core secret number 2, less than 4% of people are doing this. Chew your food until liquefied. You have 2 ducts in your upper mouth and 4 in your lower that secrete these enzymes, amylase and lipase, that break down your starches and your fats. And they now go down into your stomach and they break down the rest of the food. And then that's the way it's supposed to work. When you don't chew your food, you're skipping the first domino in digestion. Instead of getting digestion and assimilation of nutrients, you're getting fermentation and gut rot. That gut rot will destroy the intestinal lining of your small intestine. Those little hair-like structures called villi that move your food through you, and that peristaltic action. And they also pull the nutrients through the cell, the intestinal lining into the bloodstream. You got to take good care of those. You take really good care of that intestinal lining and you're going to have beautiful skin. You're going to look younger, feel younger, and you have tons of energy. You won't have the gas and the bloating. Less than 4% of people are doing that one. Core secret number 3 is now that you've drinking water, you're chewing your food really well. Now you want to avoid liquids with meals. And why? Because now that you've chewed your food well and you have all those enzymes down there, if you drink purified, restructured water with your lunch or your dinner, or wine or beer or whatever, apple juice, you're going to dilute those digestive enzymes and go right back to fermentation and gut rot, which is what I had. And I had leaky gut syndrome. And over time, this gut rot will open up holes in your intestinal tract, and then that's leaky gut, and then undigested food particles and microbes get into the bloodstream and they cause inflammation all over the place. And then that could manifest as headaches, cancer, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's, colitis, all these health issues, Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, all the things that people are experiencing today. So we don't want little holes in our intestinal tract. We want to heal that up. So chew your food really well and then avoid liquids with meals. Now, the rule of thumb is stop drinking liquids 30 minutes prior to a meal for beginners, and then wait 1 hour after a meal and then drink a lot of liquids. If you have stage 4 something and you really want, or you want to be an Olympic level athlete or just perform at your best, maybe in sales or your business, then stop drinking liquids an hour before and wait 2 hours after you're done eating and then drink a lot of liquids. That's core secret number 3, and less than 2% of the population is doing that. So there's massive room for improvement here. And then the last one we added later, which is core secret number 4, less than 1% of the population is doing this. And that's doing some breath exercises before you eat, just for a minute or two. Why are we doing this? Michael, would you agree that we live in a stressed out society?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Financial stress, business stress, emotional stress, relationship stress, and then throw COVID on top of it. Okay.
Yep.
We're stressed. You sit down to eat, even if you don't think you're stressed, your body is, and your body cannot differentiate between a saber-toothed tiger and how you're feeling from the stress that you have. So when you go into fight or flight mode, that parasympathetic mode, the blood leaves the organ system and it goes to your extremities, your hands or feet, to fight or flight, to run or fight something, right? So you're not going to digest your food well. So by simply taking a big deep breath in through the nose like this, pause at the top, and then release out through the mouth. Nice, long, slow flow. Just let it all go. Pause at the bottom, and then back in through the nose, and then pause at the top, and then release out through the mouth. And you just repeat this process as you're thinking about your food and thinking about, and blessing the food and thinking about the people that worked hard and used their hands to bring that food to you, and all the good, and how your body's going to enjoy that food and take the nutrients from it and get rid of the rest. You're going to digest your food much better. So I can't tell you how important these things are. When you do any of those, you're going to get results. Like we had one lady, she just added in the water deal. She dropped 50 pounds in 8 months. She didn't do anything else. That was the one thing she changed. If you drink the water, chew your food, and avoid liquids with meal and start doing this breath work, it's a game changer. And we ship our products, our detox and nutrition products, worldwide. And somebody like in the UK or Australia will order stuff, and there's shipping delays right now because of COVID. And they're emailing us or calling us and saying that, hey, look, my gas and bloating is going away already. I'm feeling better. I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. And they don't even have the products yet. And that's because they've implemented these core 4 secrets, and they're fundamental and foundational to health.
I really especially love the 4th one because, to me, for my stress in life and my effectiveness in business, mindfulness and meditation has been a game changer. And I know that, but I've never thought about doing the breath work right before eating. I know that I talk, there's times when I really say in my head, okay, I'm really going to enjoy this meal. I want to be very mindful of this moment. I want to enjoy the taste or the flavors or the atmosphere. But the whole concept of doing that and slowing yourself down to really put your body in that relaxed state. I mean, all of these things sound very easy to implement, and they make sense to me. That one really excites me because, we do get busy and fast and stressed out. And, I think there was a time in my life, we don't eat fast food anymore, and I haven't for a long time, although I must admit, I can't say that 100% because my husband and I stopped by Arby's a couple weeks ago on a road trip. But that was probably the first fast food I have eaten in 10 years. And I enjoyed that roast beef sandwich. But most of the time when there was that time when I was go, 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 and I was running around and I was, we might be ordering a pizza or you might be, catching fast food, that you're in such a stress mode that not only do you not enjoy it, but you don't even remember eating it half the time.
Hmm.
So, and that's, we all know that that's when you eat more and make choices that aren't the best. So really taking the time to stop and be really mindful of that should really not only put your body in a better shape, but get the brain back to saying, okay, what am I doing? What am I ingesting? Why am I
Hmm.
ingesting? What do I want from this experience? Do I really need that portion that I just put on my plate, or do I really need half? And then if I'm still hungry afterward, then I can go for it. But if I've actually chewed it to the point where it's liquid, I may not need it because I will be satiated and feel better and more relaxed in the process. So I can see how these just simple steps can really get people, jump started into something with success.
Yeah, baby steps. That's what to do. And the easiest way to remember this is to remember that our subconscious mind is programmable. That's why they call it television programming. They program you. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. What are you thinking about? For most people are thinking Alka-Seltzer. Why? They programmed you. So what we do is we have people take out their cell phone. This is the first call we do on our onboarding call with our private VIP clients is we have them program in the structure of their day, when they go to bed, when they wake up, and then also these things like wake up in the morning, drink your green juice, take your gut detox, take your toxin detox. And then at noon or 1 o'clock, whenever you decide to have lunch, then you put chew food, avoid liquids, breath work, probiotics, enzymes, and then repeat. And in the afternoon, green juice. And then dinner time, chew food, avoid liquids, breath work, and then enzymes, and repeat. So now what happens is the phone bzz, bzz, every day it's reminding you. You look down, you read that stuff, and it gets programmed. Within 3 to 4 months, it's going to be hard to forget these things. And you have
Oh
it's like
yeah.
effortless. You've programmed your subconscious processor that moves at a million times faster than the conscious mind. So that's the way to do it. It's a simple, painless way to do it, and it works.
I love it. And I think this is so timely. I brought it up when I was first doing your intro is, you know, I as a culture, we tend to say, at the beginning of the new year, this is going to be my year. I'm going to be in the gym every day. I'm going to lose those last 10 pounds. And we know that the gyms are full the first few weeks of January. And by March, there's nobody in there. Now, just take it, when it's not COVID time and things are closed anyway. But people start off with these huge goals for themselves. And so as we talk about new year flexible focus, it's not just business related. I think this is so timely for health related too. How would you encourage somebody to say, okay, maybe you're not working with us yet, but you're going to put these things into play. But, a few weeks down the road, maybe you're like, oh, well, that wasn't working because, they weren't giving it all their all, or maybe they didn't see immediate 15-pound weight loss. How
Mhm.
do you how do you suggest that people get themselves in the right perspective so that they are flexible, that they see that, maybe a one wrong turn, I went out to dinner and I ate too much, doesn't have to throw you completely off track,
Mm.
but you can get back on track and really take care of yourself. Any advice for that?
Well, yeah, I think it's consistency is important because it's habits. When you look at creatures in nature, they're very habitual, right? So, like a white-tailed deer is an example. They're going to have the same feeding times, pretty much. They're going to drink. They're going to go bed down. Their exercise is the same. They're doing the same things over. Their foods are the natural food source for them, right? And that's
Mm.
what we've forgotten about is we've just gotten away from the natural food sources that we would eat, and then what we are eating is 85% deficient. That's why everybody is so tired today and fatigued, because we're literally walking around on 15% fuel. Can you imagine what people are going to feel like when they get clean and they top off the tank at 100%? It's a game changer. So those core four secrets, those are things people can start doing right now. Put those into place, make them habits, and then start doing the detoxing. And like I said, we've created real food, whole food products for this, and herbs that are sun dried, air dried under 110 degrees to keep the enzymes active. They're all wild crafted, and they just work. Okay, and that's it. So if you went and did our whole program, it's less than 5 minutes a day, literally. Because I've understand this. I've learned to meet people where they're at. We don't talk about exercise. We don't talk about the foods. We focus on those core 4 secrets and then taking the products. And the products are tools. They're just part of our toolkit. We have a lot more to add later, but these slingshot people, because what ends up happening when they do the core 4 secrets and they start cleaning up their gut, cleaning up their blood and the fat and the muscle tissue, removing these toxic body burdens we talked about in the umbilical cord study. So when that starts happening, then people they start feeling better, and then they want to start changing their diet. And then they do. Then they start incorporating better foods, and then they have more energy and mental clarity. And then they want to exercise. And then we start them off like, dude or dudette, you don't have to go out and kill yourself for an hour, 2 hours in the gym. Just go for a walk around the block. The habit is more important than the distance or the amount. Much more important. Do 2 push-ups and walk around the block, and do 1 sit-up. And the next day, do the same thing and add a little bit. Before too long, you'll be running marathons and winning the push-up contest. That's how it works. And we recommend walking and mini trampolines or rebounding for people that are getting started, because those mini trampolines are very powerful, especially for elderly people that are a little weaker. They have the mini trampolines with the little handlebars on them so they can bounce. That's going to move your lymphatic system and help the detox process. Okay.
Oh,
and now they start exercising more. And then guess what? Then you start sleeping better. Period. And you start feeling better, because when you start exercising, then you start having less depression and anxiety, and everything just kind of tumbles, Michael, in the right direction. And then we just keep stacking these cards in the deck of health. I've got 10 years of geeking out on this stuff, and in our private group and our private one-on-one stuff, we share all this stuff with people, and they just start one by one, baby step, and within 6 months to a year, whole new life. They've completely transformed themselves. Now they are the inspiration in their friends and family. And you've now become giving permission to other people around you to change as well.
I love it. I love it, Tim. I think it's fantastic. And there's probably a lot of my listeners who are going to want to check out what you're doing. And I know we'll have all your contact information on the show notes, but just in case somebody wants to look you up right now, what's the best way to find you? And I know you have a special offer for my listeners as well.
Awesome. Well, first thing is you can just go to the website at chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com. And we have a lot of products. So people are like, well, where do I start? So we just go to the products tab, go to the savings bundles. That way you can get a discount. And then you could start off with a jumpstart bundle, or you can go all the way up and you do the total energy and detox bundle, which is what I do on a monthly basis. I also take our alpha energy product, but whatever, just pick something that resonates with you, get the discount. And then on top of it, we created a 5% additional discount called SHOCK, SHOCK. Type that in at checkout, you get an additional 5%. And all of our products have a double your money back guarantee. Yes, I said double your money back guarantee, because I know whole foods and real foods and herbs, they do work in the human body, and we have very little returns. And when we do, if somebody's listening and you have an allergic reaction to something, like which can happen because we have a lot of ingredients, it's very minor, small amount of people, but we will find you another product. We will refund your money, and we will find you another company's product that maybe has, maybe you were allergic to red peppers or something, and that was in the greens or whatever. We are trying to help you get where you want to go with your health and with your life and with your business. So that's very important. The other thing is if they wanted to get more free information, we have the Health Hero Show, which is my podcast. And there's a link that says podcast. You can just watch it. I would recommend show number 2 to start off with, which is detox and nutrition. I go deep onto that. And show number 7 goes deep into proper food combining, which is very important for gut health when you're starting to change your foods and eating healthier, but you want to make sure they're in the right combination. So the Health Hero Show is also a lot of free info where they can get that. And I guess other than that, I mean, the bottom line is that your health, your body is the one vehicle that's going to get you through life, and your business and your finances. I can tell you the people that are on commission sales or people trying to go up the corporate ladder, we've noticed the commission sales people within 6 months on our program, 3 to 6 months, are increasing their sales by about 21% on their income. And they didn't come to me to increase their income. Why? Because when we help you get clean and green and we raise your internal frequency, your cellular frequency, you're going to have more energy. You're going to be more attractive in the marketplace. There's going to be something special about her, something special about him. I really like her. I really like him. They've got a good vibe to them. you're different than everybody else, and a whole nother level that nobody's thinking about, a cellular vibrational frequency level. And you have more energy to make the extra calls and get things done and be sharper and be more aware of your surroundings and what you're doing. So we believe that your health will raise all boats. Your finances will get better, your business, your corporation, your health, your relationships, your spiritual practice, everything is going to get better when you take care of your health and learn how to do that.
I love it. Tim, thank you so much. It's great information. I'm so glad you shared it, and I'm awfully glad that we're connected.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Shock Your Potential podcast. Learn more about us today at shockyourpotential.com, including details on Michael's 2 best-selling books. Tell me more, how to ask the right questions and get the most out of your employees, and sales mixology, why the most potent sales and customer experiences follow a recipe for success. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and like us today.